Hi, I'm Todd Gamboa, president of Building Trust, a building science and sales consulting company. One question I get asked very often by realtors as I'm training across the country is, what is a HERS rating? Well, HERS is an acronym for HERS, which is Home Energy Rating System. It's a way that builders can measure the performance of a home to test and see if they're energy efficient. This is what I call expect what you inspect, or even better yet, put your money where your mouth is. Now, a lot of builders and remodelers claim that the home is energy efficient and that the utility bills will be lower, the house will be healthier or more comfortable. But the reality is, without testing a home, you never really know. A HERS rater is an individual that is trained in building science, works with the builder, works with the contractors, and teaches them how to build a more energy efficient and more comfortable home. They start with a from plans analysis where they look at the blueprints and the specifications to determine how can the home be built most effectively for the consumer. After looking at the blueprints, they'll come out and they'll understand the products that are going into the home. Things like the furnace and the water heater. They'll check to ensure that they've been installed properly, that they're ventilated properly, and that there are benefits to having high performance equipment in the home. They'll also look at the insulation and do inspections to ensure that the stuff behind the walls is actually delivered like you think. Now, there's an expectation when you purchase a new home that everything is brand new and everything's installed properly. But remember, many jurisdictions only enforce code, which is the minimum acceptable standard allowed by law in a given jurisdiction. And although codes have increased and made us do a better job as home builders, the reality is we want to get that other set of eyes during the construction process that inspects more than the minimum acceptable standard. We look for things like insulation. I've done many inspections on many resale homes and find things that aren't very good. Things like insulation in the attic. Often we find an inadequate amount of insulation in the attic. When we should have 13 or 15 or 16 inches, we find things like 3 or 4 inches. And being that 40% of your energy is lost through the lid, that's not acceptable. So they look for other products and other things that go on in the house. They can do infrared testing and they can check the home to ensure that there are any problems. They'll be able to find those and locate those. They do something called a blower door test where they pressurize the house negatively to find out where all the leaks are. Because if air is being pulled in the house, air must be pushed out of the house. There's that equal and opposite reaction. So checking airflow is the greatest way to find areas where there's energy loss. And when they do this in the infrared photography, they'll find that the house that you thought might be good maybe isn't so good when you start looking at it under infrared photography. All those bright spaces are areas where there's energy loss. And this was a home that was built in an area that had an insulation inspection by the city. So that third-party verification is huge when understanding what type of liabilities and problems you might have down the road. Obviously, nobody wants to sell one of these. So the key is make sure the home is tested and make sure there's a certificate that goes with that house that will verify the energy performance. Now, with new construction, you're going to find that this certificate is given to the builder, and it should be given to your buyer as well. This home energy rating certificate will give you a sense of what it's going to cost to own that home while the customer moves in. So it has all the AFUEs, or the fuel utilization. You'll know what the utility bills should be. It's also given a score. If we think about a home which is built to a standard reference house, the score would be 100. Every point of energy saved is a lower number. So in this case, a home may score a 65 or a 68. That means the home is 35% more efficient than that reference home. A home that scores a 50 would be about 50% more efficient than a typical home. So that means the lower the number, the better, much like a golf score. And that's just comparing it to the new home standard. If we compare it to resale homes, we'll find huge changes in what the customer's utility bills will be. A home built to the standard is about 100. Every point lower means lower energy saved. But that resale home they're moving from, let's say it was built in the 80s, may score 130 or 140. Maybe the home was built around the turn of the century in 2000. That score may be closer to 100 or 110. So as we see new home standards getting tighter and tighter, we're finding that homes are built lower and lower. Once we start getting to that HERS 50 score, you're finding that builders are adding other things like renewables, solar energy, or ground source heat pumps to really maximize that investment. So look for these things. Look for that HERS score. Ask your builder, what are you scoring so that you know what's best for your buyer when purchasing new construction? I'm Todd Gamboa, and thanks for listening.